though it's Margaret Kerry and Tinker Bell at large once again. You know, I've been talking to people about the James M. Barrie book, the unabridged book. Now, I don't want to tell you that I like it better than the Walt Disney Tinker Bell since, oh, there I go. I said Tinker Bell for Peter Pan. Oh dear. Well, I've been Tinker Bell for a long time. What? I was the original reference model, live action model for Tinker Bell way back when they did the movie. I worked with Mark Davis, and he's the one who designed Tinker Bell for Walt Disney, and it was a wonderful story, laughter, all kinds of fun. But there's also a book that it was built on, James M. Barrie, unabridged book, and I happen to have it here, and I want to tell you a couple little stories that might interest you. You should read it. You really should, because it gives you different ideas about the lost boys, and one of them is Mr. Darling. Do we ever hear of Mr. Darling again? I mean, we know that he's the pompous father who gets very upset when he wants to go out to dinner, and he drags Nana out of the nursery and said, "They're not staying here." He drags the dog downstairs and chains Nana. And because he just wants to get going, and he doesn't think they're old enough or young enough to take care of. Well, of course, Nana can't do anything when Peter comes and takes Wendy and John and Michael to Neverland. Well, it seems that Mr. Darling was just crushed. He blamed himself for everything. So we never heard about that really in the movie. But you know what he did, according to the book? He was so devastated that he went down and lived in the kennel that Nana had, kicked Nana out, I think, and lived there, and just reminded himself he shouldn't have done it, even when he went to work, it says. And they brought a cab around, you take him to work. That was a horse and buggy in those days. He would put the kennel up there, and he would take the kennel to work. Isn't that a fun? Well, you can imagine how he felt when the kids came back, when Wendy and John and Michael came back. But that's another part of the story that you never hear. And did you ever know that Wendy grew up? And the last chapter in the book is Wendy grows up. And she's sitting there one day, and she knew that someday Peter Pan would come back and crow and say, "We have to go clean Neverland. We have a week to do it in." And so it was years later he finally remembered. So Peter comes back, and he says, "Come on, Wendy, let's fly over to Neverland." And she says, "Peter, I can't. I don't know how to fly anymore." He says, "Why not?" She said, "Well, Peter, I'm all grown up." And Peter looks at her and drops to the floor and just cries and cries. And then we hear a voice over on the side, and it's a little girl about 7 or 8. It's Wendy's little girl named Jane. And she wakes up and she says, "Oh, Mommy, can I go with Peter? Oh, please let me go with Peter. I can clean up. I can do all those things. I can be back in a week. Oh, please, Mommy, please." And I won't tell you whether she goes or not, but I will show you. I hope you can see this. It's one of the pictures in this wonderful book. And there is Wendy and Jane flying, and there's Peter in the middle. So this broadens the whole story of Peter Pan. And by the way, you could get the unabridged in your library. You can get it at a wonderful bookstore, or you can get it on my website, which is Tinkerbell Talks. And what I do is I sign the first page, and even put your name in it if you like. And then right on there, there's your name. And then I also send a picture of Walt Disney sitting in a chair talking to Tinker Bell, and it says, "Books take us to magical places," as Tinker Bell talks. Anyway, what I'm trying to do is to get people to know that there's much more to Peter Pan than there is just the movie or the other movies that are made after. So, well, Tinker Bell and I are going to go at large again, but we're going to leave you with faith, trust, and a whole bunch of pixie dust.